Get ready to walk in the footsteps of one of Middle-earth's greatest heroes, because today we're bringing Aragorn to life in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. This build is designed to capture everything that makes Aragorn such a legendary figure. His martial prowess, his leadership skills, and his connection to nature. Whether you're leading a band of adventurers through hostile lands, or standing tall against the Dark Lord's army, this build will let you channel the power of Aragorn himself. To bring the true essence of Aragorn to life, we're setting this build at level 5. This is the level where characters start to feel truly heroic. And we're also using the free archetype rule. This allows us to add a bit of the ranger expertise to complement his skills as a fighter, making sure he can hunt down enemies and survive the wilderness with ease. Step by step, we're going to build Aragorn, starting with his ancestry, background, and class, and then leveling him up all the way to level 5. We'll also dive into why each choice makes him the unstoppable leader of the free peoples of Middle-earth. Let's get started. Moving on to step number 1, we pick our ancestry and heritage. Aragorn is a human, but his ancestry is anything but ordinary. As a direct descendant of the ancient Númenórean kings, his human ancestry is tied to royalty, giving him exceptional traits and abilities. Aragorn's heritage is the Aiuvarin human heritage, which emphasizes strength and resilience, traits that are essential for his role as a leader and a warrior. This heritage allows him to pick up feats that grant him further survival skills and an aura of nobility. Aragorn is also a seasoned traveler and speaks multiple languages. Being human, he starts with Common and one additional language, and thanks to his intelligence and background, he can also learn more. Our choices are Common, because every adventure needs this, and Elven, because Aragorn has close ties to the elves and is fluent in their tongue, especially useful for his connection with Legolas and his role in elven affairs. Aragorn is not just a skilled fighter, he's also a natural leader, and for his ancestry feat, we chose Courteous Comeback. Courteous Comeback represents his ability to keep calm under pressure and maintain composure, especially when he's called upon to inspire his allies. Whether it's a tense standoff or negotiation, Aragorn always stays composed, even when the odds are stacked against him. Moving on to step 2, we select our background. Aragorn's background as a runaway noble perfectly reflects his status as the heir to the throne of Gondor, hidden in plain sight as a ranger for much of his life. This background grants him a mix of noble and survival skills, perfect for a leader who's had to navigate court intrigue and wild terrain. For his ability boost, we chose Charisma, because Aragorn's natural charisma makes him a commanding figure, able to rally people to his cause with ease. We also chose Dexterity, because he's agile and quick on his feet, which is essential for both combat and stealth. And for his skills, we selected Genealogy Lore, because as the heir to the throne, Aragorn is well versed in his family's history and lineage, making him knowledgeable about his noble heritage. And lastly, we chose Society, because Aragorn has spent time among the people of Middle-earth, interacting with nobles, diplomats, and kings. This skill helps him navigate social situations with grace. Moving on to step 3, we select our class. Aragorn is first and foremost a fighter, capable of leading armies and engaging in one-on-one combat with the deadliest foes. His skills as a martial expert make him a fearsome opponent, and the fighter class is the best way to capture his combat prowess. Here's some of the key features he gets at level 1. For our key ability, we selected Strength, because Aragorn is a powerhouse in melee combat, and his high strength allows him to deal devastating blows. For his hit points, he gets 10 plus his constitution modifier per level, making Aragorn tough and resilient, able to endure the harshest battles. Aragorn's trained in perception. As a hunter and a leader, Aragorn is always aware of his surroundings, which helps him spot threats before they strike. Moving on to saving throws, Aragorn is an expert in fortitude saves, making Aragorn's strength and endurance resilient to physical damage, poisons, and fatigue. He's also an expert in reflex saves. His agility allows him to avoid attacks and react swiftly to danger. And lastly, he's trained in will saves. Though not invulnerable to mental manipulation, Aragorn's strong will gives him decent resistance to mind-affecting magic. Moving on to Aragorn's attacks, he's trained in simple, martial, and unarmed attacks. Aragorn is proficient in a variety of weapons, but his iconic weapon is a sword. For his defense, he is trained in light, medium, and unarmored defense. While he often wears light armor for mobility, Aragorn is capable of defending himself without heavy armor. And lastly, he's trained in the Fighter class DC. This is used for class features that rely on a character's combat skill. And here's some of the class features he starts with as a fighter. The first feature he gets is Attack of Opportunity. Aragorn's keen perception and combat reflexes allow him to strike an enemy that leaves themselves open, making him a master of punishing mistakes. The other class feature he gets is Weapon Specialization. Aragorn gains a special focus on the sword, making his strikes even deadlier. This mirrors his proficiency with the blade and his ability to defeat powerful foes with his skill. Moving on to step 4, we now assign Aragorn his ability boosts. With his background as a runaway noble and his focus on combat and survival, Aragorn's stats reflect his physical prowess, wisdom in the wilderness, and his charm with allies. Here's the final scores at level 5. For strength, we chose 18, which is a +4 modifier. Aragorn's strength is key to his martial prowess. With high strength, he can wield powerful weapons like swords and axes with ease, dealing significant damage in combat. It also helps with physical tasks like breaking down doors and grappling foes. Strength is crucial for Aragorn to overpower enemies, whether in a one-on-one duel or a group battle. For his dexterity, we selected 16, which is a +3 modifier. Aragorn's agility and reflexes make him swift in combat and able to dodge attacks. Dexterity is important for his finesse with a ranged weapon like a bow, but it also helps him avoid taking damage in the heat of battle. In addition, this boost supports his ability to sneak or act with precision, a trait that comes in handy for a ranger like him. Moving on to Constitution, we selected 16, which is a +3 modifier. Aragorn's toughness and endurance make him a stalwart adventurer. This high constitution gives him the fortitude to withstand the rigors of battle, long travel, and the harsh conditions of the wild. It also increases his hit points, allowing him to take damage and continue fighting through the most grueling circumstances. For his intelligence, we picked 10, which is a +0 modifier. While Aragorn is not particularly focused on book learning, his intelligence allows him to pick up knowledge of monsters, survival tactics, and important historical facts when necessary. His lack of a higher intelligence score is balanced out by his practical wisdom and tactical thinking, making him more of a learn-as-you-go type character. For his wisdom, we selected 12, which is a +1 modifier. Aragorn's wisdom is reflected by his deep connection to nature and his instincts as a leader. This ability score makes him perceptive and aware, able to track enemies, spot hidden dangers, and act decisively in difficult situations. His wisdom boosts abilities like survival, nature, and medicine, reflecting his ability to thrive in the wilderness and care for those around him. And lastly, for charisma, we selected 14, which is a +2 modifier. Aragorn's charisma comes from his noble background and his inspiring leadership. He can command the respect of allies and intimidate his enemies when the need arises. This score supports his skills in diplomacy, intimidation, and society, making him an effective negotiator and a figure others look up to for guidance, even in the darkest times. And now we move on to step 5. Aragorn's class and background grant him a variety of skills that allow him to survive in the wilderness and lead others. First skill that he's trained in is athletics, because Aragorn is an expert in physical combat and grappling, perfect for powerful melee attacks and maneuvers. Next up, he's trained in acrobatics, which is used for dodging attacks and performing agile maneuvers during combat. Next up, he's trained in intimidation. Aragorn has a commanding presence, able to intimidate enemies or bolster his allies in the heat of battle. Next up, he's trained in stealth. While often associated with the shadows, Aragorn's ability to move quietly is essential for sneaking past foes or getting the drop on them. And thanks to his background, he's trained in genealogy lore, which helps Aragorn navigate complex political situations and identify bloodlines of important people. And then he's also trained in society. Aragorn's noble upbringing and experiences make him adept at understanding social structures and the politics of the realm. Moving on, he's also trained in thievery. Aragorn has learned the tricks of the trade, picking locks and disarming traps when needed. He's also trained in medicine, a useful skill for treating injuries, reflecting Aragorn's experiences healing wounds in both combat and while traveling the wilderness. He's also trained in diplomacy, because as a leader, Aragorn persuades in negotiations and persuading others, whether in peace or before battle. And lastly, he's trained in survival, which is a core skill for Aragorn, helping him track foes, find food and shelter in the wild, and navigate the harshest environments. And lastly, we're gonna level up. Moving on to level 2, we get a fighter feat, a skill feat, and a free archetype feat. For the fighter feat, we selected Intimidating Strike. This feat represents Aragorn's ability to use a mighty strike to intimidate his enemies. It's perfect for a warrior who fights with passion and authority, often leaving enemies trembling in fear as they realize they're going up against one of the most legendary fighters in Middle-earth. For our skill feat, we selected Group Coercion. Aragorn's ability to lead and command others shines with this feat, whether rallying his allies or forcing his enemies to stand down. Group Coercion allows him to influence the entire battlefield with his presence. And then moving on to our free archetype feat, we chose the Ranger Dedication. This feat grants Aragorn access to the Ranger class features, such as Hunt Prey, which allows him to target enemies with deadly precision. It also grants him the survival and tracking abilities that are essential for a Ranger of his caliber. At 3rd level, you get access to Bravery, a general feat, and a skill increase. With Bravery, your proficiency rank in will saves increases to Expert. When you roll a success on a will save against a fear effect, it's a critical success instead. In addition, when you gain the Frightened condition, you reduce its value by 1. For our general feat, we selected Ancestral Paragon. As the heir to the throne of Gondor, Aragorn is the embodiment of his people's strength. Ancestral Paragon grants him a deep connection to his noble bloodline, making him even more resilient and capable in combat. And with that, we ended up selecting Ancestral Longevity. Aragorn's connection to his Númenórean ancestry grants him an extended lifespan, allowing him to endure long years of hardship while maintaining his combat skills. Moving on to the skill increase, and we chose Thievery. Aragorn's adventures have led him into situations where picking locks, disarming traps, and moving undetected have been crucial. This skill increase gives him more options in a wide range of situations. Moving on to level 4, we get a fighter feat, a skill feat, and a free archetype feat. For the fighter feat, we chose Swipe. This feat allows Aragorn to make a powerful attack that targets multiple foes, striking enemies who are within range. It's perfect for the hero who can cut through groups of enemies with one mighty swing of his blade. Moving on to our skill feat, and we chose Courtly Graces. Courtly Graces represents Aragorn's ability to navigate political and social situations in noble courts, whether charming a noblewoman or negotiating with a prince. Aragorn always knows the right words to say. Moving on to our free archetype feat, as we continue with the Ranger dedication, we select the basic Hunter's Trick. This ability lets Aragorn take full advantage of his dueling combat style, dealing extra damage to his hunted prey. And lastly, at level 5, we get a human feat, the Fighter Weapon Mastery, and a skill increase. For the human feat, we selected Inspire Imitation. Aragorn isn't just a leader in title. His actions inspire those who follow him. This feat allows him to lead by example, enabling his allies to mimic his movements in battle, whether rallying the troops, guiding the fellowship, or teaching others through sheer presence. This ability captures Aragorn's natural charisma and tactical prowess, making him an even more effective battlefield commander. At level 5, Aragorn's mastery over the sword reaches its peak. He becomes an expert in wielding his blade, able to strike down the toughest foe with ease. And lastly, for our skill increase, we chose Medicine. Aragorn's skill with healing becomes even greater. With this increase, he can now treat the injured, stabilize fallen allies, and use his knowledge of medicine to aid others in need. And that's Aragorn, fully built at level 5 in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. This build captures his mastery of combat, survival, and leadership, making him a versatile and powerful character in any campaign. With his sword skills, tactical expertise, and inspiring presence, Aragorn is ready to face any challenges that come his way. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this build. Do you think there's anything that you would change or add? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more Pathfinder character builds, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and keep on rolling.